I am usually called Doc Brock. I have been at Longwood for 25 years. I'm a professor in the Department of English. I teach children's and young adult literature and materials, and I have a secondary area of studies in genre studies, Gothic, and horror. So a Ouija board is actually a trademark name, kind of like Kleenex. So a Ouija board is very specifically a pattern for a board. It's owned by Hasbro, and it's the one we're most familiar with that has the sun and the moon and the yes and the no and the letters and the numbers in a particular font. That's a Ouija board. More broadly, a talking board or a spirit board has similar things. It might have mystical symbols, it has an alphabet, and it has numbers. But Ouija board has come to mean talking board, much like Kleenex means tissue. At its base, material studies looks at stuff created by a culture in order to learn about that culture. And it is looking to make connections between things and ideas. What sort of ideologies are tied to it? What ideas are tied to it? I saw this meme that gave me the giggles, and it featured it was a very upscale sort of white sectional couch, and then in front of it was a big area rug that had a Ouija board on it. And it said, well, that's pretty, until the Roomba summons a demon. And it tickled me to death. And then I started thinking about it, and I thought about everything you had to know for that to work. Like, you have to understand that this is an upscale kind of place, that a Roomba is a robot vacuum that moves around seemingly randomly, that a Ouija board is, well, what a Ouija board is, and that it's capable of, summoning something occultish or supernatural. And that's when I got to thinking, well, what kind of stuff has Ouija boards on it? And the answer is all kinds of stuff. That's why I wore this scarf that's got Ouija board imagery on it. There's just tons and tons. There's actually more Ouija board goods available than actual boards, spirit boards. I think some of the most interesting things I found were Ouija board pet stuff, like food mats, a stuffed planchette, and also a squeaker toy planchette. So both cats and dogs can play with Ouija board. I just spent a long time on the internet, and I actually started on Etsy because I thought, my gut said that there was going to be a lot of that sort of, homemade things. But what I discovered very quickly is it wasn't all that. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of Ouija board goods available at Walmart. The rug from the meme is an actual rug that was available at Crate and Barrel. So mainstream kind of places where I certainly didn't expect it. Kirk Hammett, the guitarist from Metallica, his Ouija board guitar, okay, right, I get that, heavy metal band, Ouija board guitar. But a lot of the other stuff in its commonplaceness was really surprising. Well, academia at its best, I think, can be used to help explain the world. What a good academic analysis can do is say, hey, this book is about this, but it's also about this. There's these other things going on. Maybe we need to pay attention to these other things as well. It means so many things to so many people, right? And the variation is huge, right? You're moving all the way from people who are saying you're losing a bit of your soul every time you play with the Ouija board to folks that are wearing Ouija board bikinis. And I think one of the takeaways is maybe asking the person to think about, well, what does this mean to you, right? Have you thought about this? Is this something that's, in your worldview? What are your opinions on these things? On the one hand, the Ouija board stuff is, for lack of a better word, edgy. It's a rejection, right? I'm not them, right? I'm not one of those people who believes in demons. On the other hand, it's an acceptance, right? If you have a Ouija board hat or scarf, right? You're identifying yourself as open, right? I'm open to. The Ouija board's been claimed by a lot of New Age folks who say it's a way to explore your subconscious. But the other thing that I think helps it maintain popularity or keeps it in the public eye is the fact that it really represents possibility. It's this really neat idea that we can communicate in a way that we haven't been able to communicate, and with people that we haven't been able to communicate with before. So to me, I really feel like there is still some dis-ease. Like the meme isn't funny unless the viewer understands that the Ouija board's dangerous in some way. And that idea clings to the Ouija board. Hasbro markets it as a game for ages 8 and up. And if you look at the cover of the game version of it, they are kids, probably under the age of 10. But there's also it's very easy to go on the internet and find dangers of the Ouija board, right? This is what happened to me. And it's not even always necessarily associated with the occult so much as it allows you to bring out the darker parts of yourself. We do have this, ha ha ha, isn't it silly to think that we're communicating with spirits? We know how Ouija boards work, right? Ideomotor movements. But on the other hand, there's still, I think, this kind of sneaking suspicion that maybe there's something, or maybe we want there to be something. And I think that is part of what keeps it in the I'm not so sure zone. And that is also what makes it attractive.